If you're not using LinkedIn to connect with potential clients in your business, you could be missing a trick and potentially leaving money on the table, as they say. Now in this video, I'm going to share the strategy that I used to get roughly 85% of my clients directly from LinkedIn without doing any spammy DMs or even doing any paid ads. Hi, I'm Bev. If you're new here, welcome to my channel where I support women to start and scale their business in an ADHD friendly way and with a bit of a softer approach to doing business. Now, I'll be honest, when I started my first business 5 years ago, I'd never used LinkedIn. I had set up a profile some years earlier after doing a workshop all about why LinkedIn was the place to be if you were looking for a new job. Now, at the time, I wasn't looking for a job and I can't even remember why I was doing the training. So, in all honesty, all I knew about LinkedIn was it's a job site. Then a few months after I started my business, a good marketing friend of mine suggested I started using LinkedIn as a marketing channel. I was very resistant as I didn't really know how it all worked or what I could share, and if I'm honest, it all felt a little bit too serious and professional, and my imposter syndrome kicked in with a vengeance. That little voice on my shoulder was like, who are you to be posting on LinkedIn to all these ultra professional people? What do you know about business, and who wants to listen to anything you've got to say anyway? Sound familiar? You know, I was a Facebook girl through and through. It was a familiar platform and it felt relaxed and easygoing and I knew my way around it. And LinkedIn just felt so different. But I did trust my friend who'd been in the marketing game for many, many years, and she knew her stuff. So I started to read some of the posts that were being shared. I then signed up for a free LinkedIn workshop, which was specifically aimed at using LinkedIn for business and not for job searching. From that workshop, I learned so much about how to set up my profile, how to connect with the right people, what sort of content to share, and basically how to build my LinkedIn community. But there were certain bits that they were teaching that I knew didn't feel very comfortable for me. I didn't want to be sending spammy messages to people, and it just didn't feel like what they were teaching was exactly what I wanted. So I kind of developed my own way of using LinkedIn that seems to feel better for me. It didn't feel quite so spammy. So let's start with the 3 things that I did to develop a LinkedIn strategy that enabled me to generate a steady stream of clients reaching out to me without ever paying for ads and never even upgrading to the paid version of LinkedIn. And step 1 starts with setting up your LinkedIn profile. Now there's some pretty amazing real estate that you can optimize in LinkedIn to help your connections really understand who you are and what you do. And a lot of people really don't make good use of their LinkedIn profile and they're missing out big time. Let's start right at the beginning. When you set up your profile, you can customize your profile URL. LinkedIn will generate a URL which will look something like linkedin.com/in/1234567 or some random selection of numbers. But you are able to change that last section to something more recognizable. And I'd suggest that you make it your name. That way your LinkedIn profile is more likely to show up in searches if somebody Googles you. Next, you've got the header or the banner image, and you absolutely must change the banner so it's not showing the default LinkedIn banner. Canva's a great free tool that you can use to design your banner. Here you're going to want to give your connections a feel for what you do and who you are. I think it's a good idea to have a good quality photograph of you along with your logo and details of how you can help your clients. Next, you've got your profile photo. That's the one in the circle. Now ideally you want this to be a picture of you and preferably of your face. Now I know mine isn't of my face, but I kind of like the TEDx picture. But by having a picture of you and your face, it means that if somebody meets you in person after they've connected with you online, it's much easier for them to recognize you. It's also best to make this a professional photo. Try and make it clear and the best quality you can. This is your first chance to make an impression with potential clients. And after all, it's a business platform, so you want your profile picture to look a little bit more professional. So preferably no cats, no dogs, horses, kids, you in a fancy dress outfit, unless of course that's what your business is all about. You can also use a bit of short video that sits behind the profile image that you can use to introduce yourself a bit more. Now, not a lot of people know about this, and at the minute I don't have a video on mine because I've just updated my profile, but I guarantee you I will have one soon. Just be aware that I think, as far as I'm aware, you can only add video from the mobile app on LinkedIn and not from a desktop. Next up, you've got your name. Now, you can use this opportunity to add emojis or even add a bit more information. It doesn't have to be just your name. Check out how my good friend Annette Cairns has optimised her name so that it really stands out in the feed. She's even found graphics that are kind of similar in colour to her branding, and it just helps when you're looking through the feed. It helps Annette's name stand out. And underneath your name, you've got a headline title, and I would suggest you use this as an opportunity to let your connections know how you can help them. Keep it clear and unambiguous. You know, LinkedIn, like many, is a noisy platform, and you need to let people be very clear very quickly about who you are and how you help them. You've got a fair amount of characters, so make use of them if you want to, but do be careful not to confuse your audience. Remember, confused customers don't buy, and you want to make it about them rather than about you. And what I mean by that is talk about what you can do for them. It doesn't have to be your job title. I could easily write founder at Bev Thorogood Coaching under my name, but that doesn't tell the audience anything about why they should follow me or even more about why they should work with me. Make sure people can contact you too, so update your contact details. Next, you've got the option to turn on creator mode, and this means that you'll get access to additional features to help you get seen. You'll be able to grow followers as well as connections, so even people who don't connect can choose to follow your content. And when people do connect, they automatically become a follower too. If you're eligible, you'll also get access to things like live streaming and newsletters. I think this is kind of being rolled out. I believe you can apply for it if it's not already there, but it should, I think, be coming to everybody over time. Now, in the featured section, you can pin posts that you want people to see, as well as featuring things like photos, links, articles, newsletters. So if you've written a post that you don't want to disappear down the feed, pin it to your featured section. Treat this as a bit like an additional website or a web page. The About section is another opportunity to really help your audience get to know you. So make it personal, write it in the first person, so using words I rather than your name. It's not a CV, it's much more personal than that. Try to talk about you, but in a way that speaks to the problems that you solve. Try not to make it just a list of your skills and your past experience, but use this section in a way to help your audience build trust with you. And you can use this section to share a bit more about the person you are outside of your business if you want to. So, a bit more personal, maybe about your family or your hobbies or the things that you love in life. But use this section. Again, it's about allowing people to get to know you. Now, the experience section is your opportunity to share your past work experience. But personally, I'd only add in information that adds to what you're doing now. So, if you had a paper round when you were 14, probably best to leave it off. And it's the same with the education section. Again, make it relevant. I'm not sure anybody would be interested in my O-level maths results or the fact I've got a 25-metre swimming certificate when I was 12. And in the skills section, here you can add anything that you feel is relevant to you. And other people can endorse you for those skills, which all adds to your credibility. Now, as soon as you possibly can, see if you can start collecting recommendations from either people that you've worked with in the past or ideally from clients. Even if it's clients who you've done free work for, maybe you've been getting out there doing some sort of practice stuff, get recommendations from them. All you need to do, it's very easy to ask for a recommendation. Just click the plus button at the top of the section and choose the Ask for a Recommendation option. It's also a great idea to give a recommendation to someone else, and it's even nicer if you give it before they've asked. Again, you can just click the plus button and choose give a recommendation. Okay, so now you've got your profile working for you, you need to start to build your network. So step 2 is all about connecting with your ideal clients. Now, to do this, you kind of have to know who your ideal clients are, and if you haven't done that bit of work, you might want to take some time thinking about who it is you want to connect with, who do you want to sell your services or your products to. So you're going to want to start connecting with people that you'd like to work with, and that means you need to know these people. Now, I use a different strategy for people I meet for real and those that I'm reaching out to cold. So if we start with the people that I meet, if I'm doing any in-person networking, either face-to-face or online, I want to connect and stay in touch with people, and LinkedIn is pretty much the best way to do that. You can download a QR code from your profile and maybe save it as a photograph or stick it on your business card, and that allows you to connect your LinkedIn profile, or at least when you're talking to someone, take their details and connect with them after the event. In this case, I'll sometimes send a quick message with my connection request, just reminding the person where we met. Mostly the people I connect with from networking aren't my ideal clients, but by staying connected, there's a chance that they may be connected with people who are, or they may be able to refer me, and vice versa. LinkedIn is very much about give and take, and if you do something good, nice for somebody else and you can help them, they're much more likely to want to help you. The second way, and I think the most important way that I've built my LinkedIn audience, is by connecting directly with people who I've not actually met, but who I would potentially like to work with. This is undoubtedly easier if you're looking to work with businesses as opposed to individuals. For example, in my previous business, I knew I wanted to be connected to HR professionals in the UK. Now, perhaps you want to connect with, IT managers or marketing departments, whoever it might be. We're going to use that job title to search for them. And it is a bit more difficult or a bit more tricky if you're looking for individuals. So for example, in my new coaching business, I'm looking to work with women who want to leave their 9-to-5 job to start their own business. That's a lot harder to search for. So this is the strategy that I use to find my potential clients. Using the search bar, I put in a search for the job title of the type of people that I'd like to connect with. In my case, it was HR managers. This then opens up a number of different filter options. First of all, I only want to search for second line connections. These are people who I'm not currently connected with. I don't want to connect with people I'm already connected with. So I go for second line connections, and that means that they're the first line connections of my first line connections, i.e. they're also connected to the people I'm connected to. Are you following this? You could include third line connections if you want to, but I don't. And the next option that you want to look at is the locations filter. Now in my case, I only wanted to connect with HR managers in the UK, and I could even go more local and search by area or city. Once I'd put in my filters, I hit show results, and I'd get a list of people that I might want to connect with. From that list, I'd go down and I'd just hit the connect button on around 15 to 20 people a day. Didn't want to do more than that because LinkedIn can get a bit funny if you're connecting to too many people in one go, as they think you're going to be a bit spammy, and the last thing we want to do is be spammy. Now here's the really important bit, and the bit that was different to what I was being taught in the workshop. I do not send a message at all at this stage. Let me say that again. I do not send a message. For a start, it's time consuming, and I don't want to spend extra time, and if I had to, I'd end up cutting and pasting, and that's not very personal. I also think it puts people off. I absolutely hate it when someone connects with me and immediately drops a message into my DMs. Even if it's not a salesy message, although to be fair, many of them really are, it means that I then feel obliged to reply. And sometimes it's not convenient. So I don't want to annoy my potential connections before they've even had a chance to get to know me. Instead, I simply let my profile do the talking. This is why it's so important to have a profile that is clear, unambiguous and focused on how you help, and also that you're connecting with people that you can help, so you know your ideal client. This way the other person can look at your profile and they can make a decision about whether they want to accept your connection request or not. Now, in my experience, in my early days, I'd say around 30 to 40% of people connected with me. And as my connections grew, that increased to around 65-70%. Now that's likely because when you look at someone's profile, you can see if you have any mutual connections, and we're more likely to connect if we know we're also connected to other people that we know and trust. By following this strategy, I built up my LinkedIn connections to around 6,000 and my followers to probably just shy of 8,000. And for my old business, I reckon 70 to 80% of those were my ideal clients, with the remainder being networking connections and a couple of friends in there. Now, if you're finding this video helpful, I'd love you to give it a thumbs up. It only takes a second and it'll help YouTube to show this video to more people. Okay, so now you've optimized your profile so that people know what you're all about and you're building your connections day by day. Step 3 is all about adding value to your connections so they can get to know you better. So far, you've not had any kind of communication with this new connection. You've not sent any spammy messages into their inbox. This is where we have to start to do a bit of work to help those connections find out more about us. This is about posting valuable content consistently and frequently. Ideally, a post a day, but if you can't do that, at least try and aim for 3 to 4 times a week. I've never really found a best time to post, and I'm not great at scheduling posts for LinkedIn. I prefer to be a little bit more spontaneous. And although LinkedIn can feel a little bit more serious and businessy than other platforms, in actual fact, I've found that I get great engagement with posts that are about a bit less formal and a bit more personal. People by people. So giving your connections a little bit more insight into who you are as a person and not just a business is really going to help you to develop that all-important know, like and trust. And it's good to have a mix of posts. In general, I try to make sure that my posts either entertain, educate, inform, inspire or introduce me in some way. In terms of calls to action or sales posts, I try to make sure that these only happen maybe 1 in every 5, 1 in every 10 posts. People will get fed up really quickly if every single post is asking them to do something. I would also say that whilst some people go all out to be provocative and polarising on social media, personally, I find it's much nicer to just be agreeable and respectful. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't voice your opinion or challenge something that you feel strongly about, but just remember that your potential clients are watching. They're watching what you write and they're watching, what you're saying, and if you're too controversial, especially if you're disrespectful to someone, it's not likely to endear them to you. If someone writes something that really triggers you, I think it's personally best just to scroll on by and let it go. You might feel justified in saying something and you might feel better for letting off steam and letting them know what you think. But ultimately, it could cost you business if you're seen as difficult or objectionable. Now, as well as posting your own content, you also want to start building relationships by positively commenting on other people's posts, as well as by reacting using things like the emoji reaction buttons and by sharing other people's content. If you use the @ sign before someone's name, it will tag them in your post or comment, and that also means that their connections are more likely to see your comment. This is very helpful, especially if their connections are also your ideal clients. So there you go. That's my 3 steps to attracting clients using LinkedIn. And if you fancy connecting with me on LinkedIn, I'll drop the link to my profile in the comments below. And if you're just starting out in business, you're going to want to watch this video next. And if you want to get notified when I publish new videos, click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. Until next time, take care.